So that's me finished with the history of man, and I have to admit it was pretty difficult to read it, A, with a straight face, and B, without commenting on some of the things that I was actually reading. There's obviously like many things that come to mind. One of the first things is the numbers that are mentioned. The first line is, "This is a cold-blooded and factual account of your last 60 trillion years." And then a little bit later on, he says that the universe is probably 70 trillion years old. And then in another part, it's 74 trillion years old. So going from 60 trillion to 74 trillion, that's an error margin of 14 trillion years. Is it science? Well, you've only got to look at how did Ron do his research. He did most of his research by being locked up in a room with a bottle of rum and whatever pills or potions he had to hand to take to inspire his imagination. Because the truth is, just because you call it research doesn't make it research. And I want to draw attention to this particular one straight away, because in Dianetics, he makes the claim that there were 250 something clears already made. Then if you jump forward to the Clearing Congress lectures, where he stands on the stage and he says, "I have a confession to make. I didn't make any clears, but I can now." And that's in 1958. So the thing has been running on for 8 years. So what happened to the 250 clears? They didn't exist. Now, one thing I've always been told, and that is, if you're going to tell lies, have a damn good memory. And of course, Ron doesn't have a good memory, despite the fact that he ought to have, because he's achieved all these different levels and so on. His memory sucks because he makes mistakes and he contradicts himself continuously. His research, give me a break. When did he do it? Did he do it on the cabin of a ship? How do you research? Basically, what he was researching was his own imagination. It's as simple as that. Now, obviously, trained auditors and Scientologists and independents are all going to say, "Oh, well, you just don't understand. You see, you're not at that level of understanding." But that's the trap. You see, that's what they tell you. I do understand this stuff. They're going to say, "Oh, well, you see, if you clear up your misunderstood words, you'll understand it. You don't really know what he's talking about." I actually do know what he's trying to do here. He's trying to fool you into thinking that there's actually something worth knowing. And of course, there isn't. It's absolute hocus pocus, mumbo jumbo, and possibly the biggest heap of shit I've ever read in my entire life. If you think there's anything worthwhile in this volume, then good luck to you. You're welcome to it. I'm absolutely amazed at some of the stuff that I read. It doesn't bear any relation to anything known to the sciences. I don't really need to say any more. I think that just about sums it up. So as I say, if you want to believe this stuff, if you want to think that's it, and does it matter anyway? I mean, what really matters is now and what you do now, not all that crap. Also as well, there was confusion there. Like, is he talking about Technique 80? Is he talking about Technique 88? Is he talking about Technique 8 to 8008? Again, he seemed to like hop from one to the other, not being quite sure what he was talking about. And here's another thing: I actually don't want to make sense of any of this stuff. I really don't. And it's not because I'm low-toned or lower down on the tone scale. The tone scale is a completely arbitrary, made-up piece of crap anyway. So there you go. That's my thoughts on the history of man. Sorry, to give it its proper title, Scientology, A History of Man. Oh, and I don't really know why I only had 10 chapters when apparently there were originally 11. Yes, it used to go up to 11. Woohoo!